everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I will be discussing the pros and cons of living in Turkey. Thanks to our subscriber Karim for giving me this video idea. And if you are new to the channel, my name is Lana and I've been traveling full-time for the past 2 years with my partner Carlos whilst working online. And as of right now we're in Turkey due to all the current lockdowns. So we've actually been here for about 2 months now, which is a little bit longer than our intended stay. I did make a video discussing our decision to stay longer in Turkey, so if you wanted to hear more about that, you can check it out in the travel update, so I'll link the video above. So before we get into the video, I just wanted to say that all the opinions are based on my own experiences of being in Turkey for the past 2 months. We don't live here permanently, so this is just our experiences as travelers. And yeah, so let's get into it. First up, I'll start off with the cons because I feel like I want to end the video on a positive note, so we'll do the pros last. So the first con that I have about Turkey is actually more kind of about Istanbul, and that is that Istanbul can be crowded. And I think this is vastly to do with the population in Istanbul itself is 15.5 million. And you can really feel it when you're in the city, because when you catch buses or when you go to those popular attractions, there's just so many people. Most days when we would catch the bus, we'd have to stand, and to get a seat would kind of be like a privilege. And I think this is definitely a big part of the Istanbul experience. It's the hustle and bustle, all the street food, selling different articles of clothing and all that stuff. That's the kind of experience that you want when you go to Istanbul. So the second con that I have is smoking. Now this is something that as a tourist you definitely can't avoid, because when we're walking on the streets there'll be someone in front of you, usually having a cigarette, and that smoke will all just blow in your face. So if you're a non-smoker like us, it's a little bit less enjoyable, but if you're a smoker, a packet of cigarettes here is $2.60 USD, whereas back where I come from in New Zealand it's 20 USD for a packet. So it's definitely more socially acceptable here. The statistics say that there's about 14.5 million people in Turkey who smoke, and 252,000 of them are children. So it just goes to show that it is a lot of people here that smoke. Now my third con here is alcohol, and this is more just a price comparison. From what we've seen in other countries that we've traveled to, it seems that Turkey is a little bit more expensive for alcohol here. So for a 500 milliliter bottle of beer in Germany at the supermarket, it is 60 cents. And then at a supermarket here in Turkey for the same bottle of beer, it's $1.60 USD. So I think this isn't necessarily like a really bad thing, because I don't think that everyone coming to Turkey is looking for really cheap alcohol. I think they're coming here for the history and the attractions. But if you are coming here, don't expect it to be really cheap alcohol, because that's just not what you're going to find. If you want cheap alcohol, you probably go to Germany, or you go to Bulgaria or other countries where there's a bigger drinking culture there. Another con about Turkey, again, is more kind of Istanbul related from our experiences anyway, and this was scams. One of the things that happened to us a couple of times in Istanbul was when we would go to pay for our food that we had ordered, they charged us a little bit extra than what the price was meant to be. And luckily for us, we had heard about this online, that they may try to overcharge you for your food, and we had taken photos of the menu and the food that we ordered, so that when we went to pay the bill they couldn't overcharge us. And another thing that happens in Istanbul, which is quite a common scam, the guy tried to do it to us twice while we were in Istanbul, and that was the shoe shine scam, which I think I even captured in one of my videos, so I'll link that above for you guys. That was kind of funny. So what happens is they have this shoe shine brush, and the guy, he'll walk past and he'll pretend he doesn't see you, and you'll drop the brush, and then the good person that you are, you'll pick up the brush and you'll want to give it back to him, right? They'll start shining your shoes off the brush, and you'll feel obliged to give the man some money because of the shoe shine that he gave you, and it will be some ridiculous amount of money and you'll have to pay for it. And you won't be able to get out of the situation. There's obviously scams like this everywhere around the world. It's not just in Turkey, you know, we've found them in Bali, Thailand, Vietnam. There's so many places where scams are, so just make sure that before you come to Turkey you research the area specific scams for here. Okay, so this is my last con for Turkey, and that is English. English is not so widely spoken in Turkey as a whole, but of course there are areas where it's more widely spoken. We noticed people in Istanbul spoke it if we went to tourist attractions, but where we were staying in Istanbul was quite local and not many people there spoke English, and if they did, they didn't speak it so well. So it definitely depends where you are in Turkey. And right now we're in Bodrum and everyone here speaks English because this is like a tourist hotspot usually. Okay, now for the pros of Turkey. Now, time for some positivity. The first thing that we noticed about Turkey was that the people here are so hospitable, they're very helpful and genuine and kind, especially more so now during the quarantine period. We've noticed so much kindness from people and they're just so willing to help us. Like the other day we were looking for face masks up the road at the pharmacy, and we went to about 3 pharmacies because they're not really selling face masks as much anymore because the citizens are getting them for free, I think. So it's kind of harder for us as foreigners to find face masks right now. Anyway, we went to the shop and the guy, I asked for face masks and he said, no price, no price. And I thought, what do you mean no price? Like, you've got the face masks, how much are they? And then he said no price and he just gave them to me, and I said, oh no, like, we want to pay you, it feels weird not to pay you. And he just kept saying no price. So yeah, he gave us 4 face masks for free, and that's just how the Turkish people are. Like, they're just so kind like that. Fresh fruits and veggies here are so abundant. They look so good when we go to the markets. I swear to you, the eggplants look so shiny, you could probably see your reflection in them, and the tomatoes are always so big and juicy. I just love going fruit and veggie shopping here, especially at the local markets. There's so many options and it's always really good quality in Turkey. So one of my favorite things about Turkey is the street pets. As you can see here, this is actually one of the cats that stops by every day. And the pets here in Turkey are so well cared for, and you can just see that when you walk through the streets because all of the cats are getting fed. There's usually some water or cat food or even dog food being left outside of shops. And on cold, rainy days, they'll usually let the pets into their homes or the stores. And it's just really quite refreshing to see because I don't think we've seen any other country treat animals the way that Turkey does, and I think that speaks volumes for the country. And of course, Turkey is beautiful. There are so many different places to visit here, from like cities, beaches, historical attractions, museums. They've really got it all. Some of my favorite attractions in Turkey have been the Galata Tower, the Grand Bazaar, the Spice Bazaar, all the different types of food we got to try. Even here in Bodrum, which I haven't gotten a chance to film yet, the beaches are stunning. The food here in Turkey is super tasty. Like, if I went on about the food, the list will be probably very long, but I'll just mention a few of my favorites quickly. So Iskender, which I did try in one of my videos, which is thinly sliced doner meat on top of pita bread, and then they pour some like oil and tomato sauce over top of it, and it's usually served with a little bit of butter and yogurt on the side, and maybe even some cheese or a big blown up pita bread. And then another one of my favorites was kokoreç, which is lamb intestines wrapped around a thick skewer, and they char grill it over a charcoal fire. You can just taste all the char grilled flavors. Of course, the Turkish pizza, lahmacun, pita, kahvaltı. The breakfasts are amazing. They serve you like a gigantic platter of every breakfast food you could imagine. Eggs, menemen, yogurt, honey, salad, cheeses. It's just endless, really, the options you could eat for breakfast here in Turkey. How could I forget the yogurt? They have yogurt with everything, and I think I'm definitely gonna leave Turkey with a yogurt addiction, because not only do they eat it with their food, but they also drink it with their food. And my last pro for the video is public transport. Now, this is more speaking from our experience again in Istanbul. I know I said that it can get quite crowded on these buses, but I do believe that there's a good reason for that. and that is because they come so frequently and it's so widely available to catch, you know, any kind of transport. You can get a bus, a train, or a subway, or even a ferry. Like, there's just so many options in Istanbul to catch public transport, and I think that's always a pro for a major city like this. So that was my pros and cons of Turkey. Again, these are just my experiences from traveling Turkey. Of course, everyone's will be different to ours. If you had any similar or different experiences, then make sure to leave them in the comments below, and I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in next week's video. Bye bye.